A slogan shouting mob attacks on Hindu temples in Bangladesh's Chattogram where protest and violence has erupted after the sedition charges were filed against former ISKCON member. The incident occurred in the port city's Harish Chandra Munsef Lane, targeting 3 Hindu temples. On the other hand, the Bangladeshi Financial Intelligence Unit has directed the freezing of bank accounts of 17 individuals who are connected to ISKCON in Bangladesh, including former ISKCON member Chinmoy. Meanwhile, India has also expressed concerns regarding the leader's arrest and bail denial, and further has urged Bangladesh to ensure the protection of Hindus and other minorities. On the ongoing atrocities against the Hindu community, and of course the latest uproar over this arrest, we will have an important discussion in the next half an hour. Mr. Hassan Tariq Chaudhary, Advocate, Supreme Court of Bangladesh, is with us on the program. Syed Badrul Ehsan, Bangladeshi journalist, is also joining us on the show. Ambassador Bhaswati Mukherjee, former diplomat, with us on the program as well. And last but by no means the least, Major General Shashi Asthana, defense expert, joins us on the show as well. Mr. Syed Badrul Ehsan, I'll begin with you. I hope you can hear me. Mr. Ehsan?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. Appreciate you joining here. Appreciate you being here. Well, there is a lot of concern. There is a lot of tension in India when it comes to our Hindu brothers and sisters and the way they are being treated at this point in time in the country of Bangladesh. It is a feeling over here that whatever is happening right now to the Hindu community is communal in nature, it's theocracy in essence, and it is not only bound to disrupt the human connection that India and Bangladesh have, but it is also likely to escalate tensions between these two friendly neighbors. What do you make of what's happening right now, and how can the Bangladeshi government defend what it is doing to these Hindus? It is nothing but targeting.
It's a very sad situation that we have in Bangladesh nowadays, not only in relation to the minority Hindu community, but we have never wanted to regard them as a minority community, because when the country became independent in 1971, it was considered constitutionally a state for all Bengalis, irrespective of their religious affiliations. But of late, what has been happening to the Hindu community and about the Hindu community, that has been concerning all of us in Bangladesh and outside Bangladesh, as you are well aware. So since the changeover of the government on August 5, things have been going progressively downhill, and we have seen the emergence of an extremist group of people, Islamist group of people, who have sort of abandoned old ideas of secular nationhood that we have so far advocated, that we have so far upheld. So what the Bangladesh government can do, the problem here is one of whether Professor Yunus and his government are in control, or whether it is the students, or it is the mob which is in control. So in any case, what we have seen is a large-scale persecution of the Hindu community. Although the government has denied it, the government, the interim government, has always said that Bangladesh is a land of communal harmony. That's the statement they have been making. But we would like to see strong action on the ground, say, against these elements who have been violating these norms of civility, these norms of civil conduct. This persecution of Hindus. Now, you see, over the last many decades, if we go back a little to partition, at the time of partition, there were about 29% of the population, Bengali population, was Hindu. Nowadays, it has come down to a point where it's no more than 8.5%. So we need to inquire into the question of where all these Hindus have gone and what kind of persecution has been there. Of course, there has been persecution. There's no denial of that fact. So we have, unfortunately, in Bangladesh, been unable to give guarantees of security to our Hindu communities and also to our other minority communities that who happen to be in Bangladesh as citizens of Bangladesh. So the government, this government, has to be very firm about it. Has to take concrete action about it. There's no use in denial. Unfortunately, a lot of people in my country are in a state of denial about what's happening on the ground. So unless this situation is resolved to popular satisfaction, to the satisfaction of every citizen in the country, relations between, within the country, politics will suffer as it has been suffering for the last 3 months, as you have seen. A mob violence has taken over, a kind of fascism has taken over. So that's one point. And the other point is, in the last 3 months, there has been a steady and regrettable deterioration in relations between India and Bangladesh. So this question, this issue is, as I said earlier, as I've said, it's regrettable. It's a situation that we cannot deny. We cannot adopt an ostrich-like attitude and say that our Hindus are living peacefully in the country. No, they are not. As we have seen these Hindu groups, Hindu rallies in places like Chattogram. They've come out in full force, and they've said that they are citizens of Bangladesh. They will not leave Bangladesh. Of course, they will not leave Bangladesh. It's their own country. But the fact here is, to put a stop to this persecution, the government and the authorities in Bangladesh must put a stop to the activities of extremist Islamic forces, these radical forces which have now gained ground, which have been gaining ground over the last 3 months. So that's the situation, and it's very sad. It's very regrettable, and again, it's to be condemned from every platform in every sense of the meaning.
Well, this is an ongoing situation, but it seems to be escalating by the day. There is definitely a sense, Ambassador Mukherjee, that there is an agenda here. There are ulterior motives. Political, I'm not sure, but religious, definitely I'm sure that there is a planned outlook, there's a planned agenda to drive away the Hindus that live in Bangladesh. Ambassador Bhaswati Mukherjee.
It is both religious and political, Vineet. The number of Hindus in Bangladesh right now is a little more than 1.5 crore. You cannot drive out with the gun 1.5 crore Hindus over a heavily fortified Indo-Bangladeshi border. So what would happen then? In the worst case scenario, you would have genocide of Hindus who are Bangladeshi citizens living within Bangladesh, which would be a gross contradiction of how Bangladesh came into existence. How did Bangladesh come into existence? Because Bangladesh and its citizens of former East Pakistan refused to accept the diktat of West Pakistan that Bengali would not be taught in their schools, that Urdu would be their mother tongue, that they would recite the Quran in Arabic and not in Bengali, etc., etc. In other words, they came together to say that what matters for Bangladesh now, East Pakistan then, was the Bengali language, culture and civilization, and this would draw across Bengalis regardless of their religion. Those who are opposing it now are a small minority in Bangladesh. They are enjoying the moment, their moment in prominence, and taking revenge not just on Bangladeshi-Hindus but also on other minorities including Christians, Buddhists and Ahmadiyas. In other words, they are unleashing communal, religious and political warfare in Bangladesh, which can end only as follows. Either there would be a genocide and a military reaction by India, or there would be civil war across Bangladesh and Bangladesh would descend into an Afghanistan type of situation. Those are the only two scenarios, unless Muhammad Yunus, who now no longer enjoys the same respect internationally as he did earlier, agrees to hold free and fair elections with all Bangladeshi political parties, including the Awami League, the BNP, etc., and an elected government is put in place which brings the situation under control. the attacks on Hindu temples and the strong reaction that is drawing from the Hindu population, who are all Bangladeshi citizens, demonstrates that Bangladesh is very close to descending into an outright civil war. And if in case the jihadis have forgotten the genocide in 1971, including inside the hallowed portals of Dhaka University, where my own mother had studied before she came to India, they should remember that history can repeat itself, and therefore a genocide of minorities, including 1.5 crore Hindus, Bangladeshi citizens Bangladesh, will elicit a very strong reaction from India. Before a military reaction, there are many other ways. The Bangladeshi economy is going downhill. 60% of what is required for the Bangladeshi cotton textile industry comes from West Bengal state across the border. Huge power bills are owed to Adani's power company. There are many ways to make the Bangladeshi interim government under UNIS understand the reality, which is live in peace with your neighbor, understand that the Bangladeshi constitution, which was constituted as secular, was done with the motive that Bengal's language, culture and civilization is what unites Bengalis in Bangladesh and not religion, and stop targeting minorities. If that sense does not come to him very quickly, I am sorry, Vineet, we are staring at full-fledged civil war. And in case there is an erroneous perception that Bengali Hindus don't know how to defend themselves, they are very much mistaken. Please look at what happened before 1947. Please look at the great Calcutta riots. Please look at the fact that Bengalis of any religion, Hindu or Muslim, once they are enraged, they can go to any extent. If that's what Yunus wants, full-fledged civil war, he is going to get it sooner rather than later. Vineet.
Right, absolutely. Let me also rope in Mr. Hassan Tariq Chaudhry, advocate of the Supreme Court of Bangladesh as well. Mr. Chaudhry, is this a situation which is going to warrant a civil war? And is this also a situation which eventually, will have India and Bangladesh perhaps even up in arms? Because for how long can India tolerate, this kind of a prejudice against Hindus?
Thank you, Vineet. I think we have to go to the fact, and the situation here in Bangladesh nowadays is very fluid, and nobody knows what will happen tomorrow and day after tomorrow. So there is a situation of uncertainty regarding the security of common people, and not only about the Hindu community, but also the security crisis remains for every citizen in the country, as the police administration has been totally destroyed during the upheaval, popular uprising by the common people of Bangladesh. But we have to take into consideration that there is a strong jihadist and Islamist political forces remaining in Bangladesh, and they are indoctrinating the people in the rural and urban area for a long time for their thoughts, and which is very much radical in nature. So you all understand that there was a serious political crisis, and there was a long time misrule by the previous government, demolishing all the democratic institutions, culture and norms. And particularly regarding the constitution, there was a huge amendment which to some extent dragged the whole doctrine and the people's verdict to the constitution in a different way, because of the putting Islam as a state religion according to the constitution. And in the constitution, you will find that both the thought of secularism and the thought of state religion was together, which is totally contradictory. A country cannot be a state religious country or a secular country together. So that is why the radical forces, they are using the constitutional leverage as constitution declared Islam as a state religion, and they are pushing Islam as a dominating thought over all over the country. And using the pretext of the uprising and aftermath, some radical forces, they are trying to destabilize the country, attacking the religious and ethnic minorities. And you see, there was a serious unstable situation in the hilly region of Bangladesh there was atrocities against the Chakma, Marma, and other indigenous groups living in the tribal part of Bangladesh. And during the Durga Puja festival, there was serious fear and uncertainty regarding the security among the Hindu community. And at that time, the people of Bangladesh, who are traditionally secular, who are by nature peace-loving, they remain as a guard, they remain as a protector for our people, for the Hindu community during the Puja festival. So the actual picture of the Bangladeshi people is peace-loving and secular, and they proved it during the Durga Puja festival. But what happened during Durga Puja time? Some radical forces in some areas of Bangladesh, they attacked and demolished some Hindu temples and puja mandap. That was very unfortunate. And later on, recently you see when ISKCON issue came forward because of the just demand from the Hindu Sanatan Awareness Alliance, when they are demanding a separate tribunal and for a speedy trial for the cases of atrocities against Hindu community, then issue get another force in reality. And after the killing of a Muslim lawyer who belonged to the government mechanism and was a government pleader with that court, and that killing makes situation more worsened recently. So what we see aftermath yesterday, there was an attack on Hindu temple in Chattogram area, and so far we received the news from the news media that 3 temples were attacked by some radical groups. So what I want to explain you that this attack is not the common feature of Bangladesh. The common feature of Bangladesh is that the interim government, they pledge to protect the minorities and also the civilians from any sort of terrorist attack. And Bangladesh is not in heaven for the terrorist activities, and it's not in heaven for, it would not be heaven for the religious extremist groups. So the clear message is that still our people, our civil societies, and the conscious community of rural and urban areas, they are working as volunteer, as vigilant forces to protect all sort of religious extremism and violence over any Hindu people, over any religious minority or ethnic minority of our country. But unfortunately, the interim government in many areas failed to maintain the law and order situation. And that is a big failure, and it putting a very bad image to our neighboring countries, particularly in India. And Indian news media is very much vigilant, and they are collecting the news and transmitting in the media.
Right, and you know what's more, yeah, you're absolutely right, sir. But General Asthana, you know what's more disturbing is also the response that we have received from the government of Bangladesh when India has complained about these atrocities. In fact, Mohammed Yunus went on to say, please don't meddle, this is an internal matter of our country. Well, wasn't the occupation by Pakistan also an internal matter of Bangladesh? But India did come in, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
General Asthana, that's for General Asthana. Sorry, sir. That's for General Asthana.
See, when Bangladesh needed help in 1971 and they were going through the atrocities, that time they looked at India and India helped them. It was an internal matter then also, but then the fact is that we went a step ahead to get them out of those atrocities. And That's how the Bangladesh was born. Now, what needs to be understood is, I've heard very patiently all the panelists and also the views from Bangladesh. I must say in no uncertain terms that as far as neighbors are concerned, Bangladesh needs India. They can be as arrogant, the interim government can be as arrogant as they want to be. But then the fact is that the government also cannot survive without the help of India for so many reasons. You can't choose neighbors. It's unfortunate for India that the minorities in both the countries, that is the east as well as west of us, are reducing, and Hindus are reducing, and in India the minorities are increasing, and that's the way India is going. Now, the present trend of Bangladesh, I call it as Pakistanization of Bangladesh. Why so? Because they also started with a secular country, a facade of secular country, and then they went on for the Islamization, and then they deteriorated on the path of radicalization. And today, the deterioration is of a level wherein nobody in Pakistan is safe. They supported terrorism for a proxy war against India, but today the number of deaths which they face because of terrorism are much more than what India faces. That's one part of it. Now, this is a trend and this is the line which Bangladesh has adopted. Secondly, like it or not, Yunus government is an illegitimate government placed by mob. There is no legitimacy. And it came out with a narrative that we are going to resolve and we are going to liberate Bangladesh from a different regime, which was unfortunately, as per the narrative, was bad for Bangladesh. Now, we have seen that India saw it patiently. I don't think India interfered in anything. And with all the patience, what we found was, now that the UNS government is in power, and people have seen this government for quite some time, and now, even if they don't realize, if the people of Bangladesh don't realize that this illegitimate government cannot deliver, neither it can deliver on the, shall I say, law and order, nor can it protect you, nor can it protect the minorities, nor can it protect the interest of Bangladesh. Because there is a lot of at stake when it comes to the legitimate interests of Bangladesh. See, at the end of the day, Bangladesh, even if it says, okay, don't interfere in my internal affairs, the fact is, when everything, you are dependent on India for so many things. The power you are getting from India, nobody else is going to get from anywhere. Yunus can have any good relations with anybody in America, but nobody is going to give him electricity. Nobody is going to give him water. The water has to flow from India to Bangladesh, and that's the fact. So let's have no doubts about it. Similarly, as was mentioned, because I am highlighting all these factors for the simple reason, because there is a level of dependence because of the geographical proximity and the location of Bangladesh, which happens to be surrounded by India from all sides. So this is a reality. Now the question is, how long can India tolerate, and what is going to be the India's response? The first thing is, till now, India is waiting as to how long Bangladeshis can tolerate themselves as to what is happening in the government, and how long they can tolerate the interim government. Let me tell you, interim government, the way it says, okay, I am going to reform everything and it may take 4 years, that means that is the tenure of a US president. That means they will not be out till the time the democratic forces kick them out. There is no other way. They have been illegitimately placed. People who have got power illegitimately also feel like carrying that power. Now, we have an honored advocate from the Supreme Court. Just imagine a mob gherows the court and says, okay, so and so to resign, and people resign. Now, this is the power of mob, and if this power has been tasted by mob, tomorrow whatever mob feels, they are going to go and gherao everything and start again dictating terms. Now, this is where the situation is going to go grim. two scenarios have been painted by the ambassador very appropriately. We will not like Bangladesh to go into any of these, and for that, my appeal to all the Bangladeshis is that please look after your national interest and not the interest of certain groups and certain radicalized groups who are out to, shall I say, destroy your national interest. Similarly, my appeal to Hindus in Bangladesh is, please unite. You have to unite. You are a sufficient amount of force, and if you unite and give a tough fight, then there is no other way that Bangladesh will have to mend its ways. Thirdly, as far as the international community is concerned, some have started speaking, some are still having patience not to speak, but then it's not going well with anybody. Why Indian media and we as Indians are concerned, because there is a lot at stake in terms of, firstly, we are immediate neighbors. Instability of Bangladesh doesn't suit us. We don't like people being killed in Bangladesh, and that's why we intervened earlier, and we would like, and if need be, we might have to intervene again. But that is something which the Indian government will never like to do. That's not a choice.
All right, sir.
Or shall I say, I would say
Understood,
that's
sir.
not
Understood, sir. Yeah. So we've completely run out of time, but I appreciate your thoughts. I appreciate the thoughts and suggestions, as well as the ground realities which have been also given to us by our Bangladeshi guests as well.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.